is the new experience for configuring and making configurations to Dynamics 365 in terms of configuring forms and views and fields and those changes that you'd make and traditionally on the back end, and where that new experience is and how to navigate to it. So again, traditionally we would come in up here to gear icon, advanced settings, takes us here to the back, click settings again, say hey, customizations. I could either go to solutions or customize the system. I'll just come quickly there, and then I would navigate through those different entities, say account, hey, I want to look at forms. It's going to reload here for me, but again, click and open that up, and go to accounts, forms, views, charts, fields, relationship types, business rules, anything that I wanted to see, and then I would come in to that editor and make configurations, right? If you've used this before, you're familiar with the navigation and what that looks and feels like. There is, moved away a little too quickly, it says try new experience. There's a better way to customize the system. So you may have your opinion on if it is in fact a better way or not, but there is a new way, and there are some nice features to that I'll highlight today. So you navigate there through try the new experience, and then it brings you to Power Apps, to make.powerapps.com, and then you have access to your different environments. So that's where you navigate once you're there to the environment that you're wanting to make configurations to. Select that. Again, we're in Sales Team. We've got a couple different demonstration type environments, and so you'll notice in here a lot of this may look familiar or similar, but there may be some custom fields or components to this particular environment that we've built out for prior demonstrations or other purposes. So what I've done, come in here, that's the environment. You navigate here to your solutions. I've already created a solution, a test solution for this video, but you'd look at your different solutions that you've created, select one that's existing if you're wanting to make edits to an existing solution or create a new solution. And then once we're in here, then I can start bringing in pieces to the solution, right? So now we have account, contact, case, just a couple of the core entities within Dynamics 365. If I want to create a new entity, I can do that. If I want to add an existing, come in here, add an existing, I can see the different types or options that I have here. In terms of tables, if I want to look at bringing in something different, then I can search here and say, hey, let's bring in lead, bring everything related to lead. Okay, this is the one I want to bring in, is this entity. Select next, add all of my components. I can come in and select the different components that I want. Say let's just include all, and then bring that in, and then I'll add it to my list here. Okay. From here, then I select the actual entity that I want to go in and look at the forms, the views, the fields, and make changes or configure. I'll come into account. Once here, I'll be defaulted here to columns. I have a tab for relationships showing me my one to many to many to one to many type relationships, right? You can get an idea of that, create new relationships if needed, right, from those different options. I have access to business rules if I want to make certain fields hidden, and then some conditional logic that exposes or makes visible those fields. I can set things up like that within business rules. And then where we'll highlight today is views and forms. I'm going to come here to forms to start and demonstrate what this looks like. Here's all my different views, right? So I can see all the views that are related to the account entity. So let's go to active accounts, for example. So you can come in here, and right from the get-go, you'll notice that this is different than what the traditional experience would be like. As you would expect, it's going to be different, but one of the things I want to highlight is you're actually seeing your live Dynamics data being represented as you configure. So you get this look into how, when I make these types of configurations, this drag and drop, point and click type configuration, how is that going to look for my end users? I can navigate to the classic version at any time I want, but I will give a representation of what that would normally look like when I'm actually editing one of these account forms. So we'll look at that in a moment. But again, here you're seeing, hey, account name, main phone number, address, primary contact. These fields are here, and I'm actually getting the data in my database, in my Dynamics environment, represented here. That way I can tell, hey, am I giving enough room for my account column, my main phone number column, my address column? and I'm not kind of playing that guessing game where I have to make the changes, publish, go and look at it, see, it's either too small or I've made it too large, make some changes and play with it that way. So it makes it a lot easier to get a real life view of what that would look like here. With these views, any of the columns that are made available here, whether it's a default or out of the box type view or one that I've configured, I can come in to either of those and say, hey, I want to move the primary contact field and adjust it over, right? I can select that and say, hey, I want to make some changes, move left or right. I can remove it. I can make some changes right here within the environment or the configure that way. And then if I want to say, hey, this is this field, I may need some more space. So rather than 150 pixels, I could say I want it to take up 200. Boom, and then it'll expand it a little bit, right? Maybe my primary contact fields, it was just a little small. So that's how I can make those adjustments. I can also look here at view columns and look at any of these search and drop those in. I also have those available, so exit here, available here on my left hand side. So I could look and scroll down here and say, hey, let's look at something like the customer type, or customer size, or something like that. Say, hey, I want to bring that field in, and I want to bring in, customer size as well. We're tracking, and we have some values there. So I'm going to bring that in, then I have a look at those. If I wanted to edit my filters, right, so we have this view, we have the data in here, but we need to adjust the filter criteria behind that particular view. You can say, hey, let's edit the filter. Then you can see, hey, again, this was active accounts. So as you would expect, right, when the status equals active, those are the accounts I want to see. So if I want to make changes, come in here, add a row, and then I look at my different field types. Come in here, I can say, hey, when customer type equals, right, that's just a representation of some custom field that we had brought in here for another purpose, but you get the idea. I can set up my filter criteria this way, and that's how it looks and feels. I'm going to cancel that and come back out here. Again, that's what your experience would look like in the new experience for configuring views. And I think it really helps to see the data real time here and get an idea of what that view actually looks like on the front end rather than the old experience if you're familiar with that. So if I have everything that I like, I'm going to hit save. Maybe I'm going to come back later and make some additional changes. So I'm not quite ready to publish, but I at least want to make sure I save. If I am ready to publish, boom, hit publish, and it's going to push all of my changes through to the front end. So I'm going to come and hit the back button, and we're going to look at forms now. All right, now that I'm back here at the account, again, all my different tabs here that I can navigate to. So I'm going to come to forms. And then within here, I have my different form types, right? You can see we've got a lot of different account forms, probably way more than you'd have in your actual experience or environment. But we've just pumped in a lot of different form types for demos and whatnot. So I'd find the one I want to edit. So in this case, I'm going to come to that account main form and select that. Once I'm in here at my new account form, or the main account form, you can see again, as you would expect with what we saw in the views prior to coming to the forms, is I'm actually looking right in at what the form itself is going to look like on the front end of Dynamics, right? Again, very helpful, I think, to when editing, configuring, that you get a real life representation as you're making those changes. So I really like these updates. Again, with the forms, the views, and seeing what the view actually looks like, to now being on the form and seeing what that form actually looks like. And then it's nice that I can come in here instead of scrolling down as I'm used to say, hey, I'm on the summary tab. Now I've got to scroll down and find these other tabs. I'm actually looking at the tabs here. If I just want to go to details, boom, I just open up the details tab. That way, you can see I have some navigation here on my tree view, and it's going to bring me to details. And then I can see, oh, within company profile, within this section, I should have 3 fields. Sure enough, right? Industry, SIC code, ownership, right? You got these different things. So then I can look at those and make changes. So I'll come back here to summary. And what's nice is within here I can make changes just by simply clicking and dragging and dropping. Again, similar to what I've been doing or would have done if I come here to the old experience and were to come to accounts and forms, and that main form, open that up. Again, just hopefully helpful to see how different this is and how nice it is to be in a new experience for that form editing user interface. Again, I can drag and drop here just as I would, but I don't this isn't really how my form's going to look once I publish, and it's nice to see that, see the timeline, to see all these pieces. Hey, this is really what it's going to look like when I publish, how much space certain things are going to take up, and I don't really have to play much of a guessing game with that. And so, again, as we can see, when I'm on with this tree view, I can open that up, focus on particular sections that I may have want to highlight. But then once in here, I can say, hey, look at these different fields. Maybe facts field that comes out of the box, maybe we never use that. So I can get rid of that. Boom, it throws it out of my list. But then at any time, I can come in and add that back to my list here, to my form. So I can add a form to the field, and when I hit that button, it gives me all my available fields. I can create a new field here, but I'll show you in a different view where that's probably more appropriate to create all of your different fields first, and then come to the form and bring those in and place them where they're needed. So I'd have that list, right? I can scroll down and look. Okay, we took the facts field off, but there it is. Boom. If I want to bring it back, just simply grab it, drag and drop it on the form, and that's where it'll be. So I can adjust the form, in terms of my security roles, form order, which if I have multiple forms, which one's going to come first, in terms of, quick create forms, my main forms, all of those. So it kind of defaults to, or helps me set up my default experience, right? And so I'd make those changes that way. Let's see, what else do we want to look at here? So if I had a facts field, since we've been looking at that one, that's where I can say, hey, let's lock that field, make it read only. I can hide it, maybe create a business rule that exposes it when my condition is met, things like that. So within the form editor, it's, again, just a nice experience to see the actual form and be configuring that, rather than a different looking experience that then needs to be published, and then I need to go back, refresh my environment, look at that from the end user's perspective, and see if the changes, the updates that I've made, actually look like I was expecting them to. Again, there's this kind of back and forth game that you had to play in that old experience, but with this new experience, it's quite a bit better for those reasons. So I'm going to come back here, and we're going to look at creating a new field. So get back at columns. Here are all my new, not new, but out of the box fields. And if I wanted to create a new one from here, then I can say, hey, let's add a column, add a field to my list. And so we'll say test field number 1. Gives me my schema name. And now what is my data type? So what type of field am I looking to use here? And there's a lot of options here, right? So, is it a text field? Is it going to be an email? So formats it and is looking for an email type format, a phone number, let's see, a whole number, date fields, is it just date and time or date only? So I make that choice there. A choice field or a lookup field, file, I've got a lot of choices here, right? So we can say it's a yes/no type field. So Boolean field, 2 options, and what is my default? Is it to yes or no? And then I can update those or change those. So if I don't want it to be yes, and say I want it to be active and inactive, for example, I can make that change. Is the field required, recommended? Is it optional? Do I want to make it searchable? This is where I could say, hey, let's make it either a calculated or a roll field. Again, based on the data type that I select, I'd either be, it's going to let me know if I can make that a calculated or a roll-up field. And then some advanced options for enabling auditing, security, those types of things. Let's say everything looks good. That's the way I want that field to look. It's the correct data type. I've made those adjustments to that new field, and let's say done. So we can hit save table. And now that I've done that, I should be able to find that if I scroll down. Long list here. Could come to the search, probably be a little easier. There's that test field number 1, right? What type of field? And there it is. So let's see if I wanted to come back up here. Bear with me. So forms, come to the account form. Now that I'm on the form, I can open the different section. But let's say, hey, let's add a form to the field, or sorry, a field to the form, got that backwards. So let's say, hey, let's just search by that, test field number 1. Great. Let's see what are our options here. Oh, I already dropped it on the field. Right, add to selected section. So again, if I'm in that section, boom, just add to selected section. There it is. If I want to adjust it, move it anywhere, great. Let's hit save, make our changes, saved, and then publish when we're ready. Again, if you're going to be coming back later that day or the next day and your changes aren't quite ready to publish or push forward, you can always wait, hit save, publish when ready, and then those are going to push my changes forward to the front end. So wait until the wheel stops turning, and then we can go and again, we have a representation here of what that should look like, and go and compare that to our actual front end. So I'll come back here. I'm going to refresh. Come here to accounts. We'll open Alpine Ski House, and we'll go to the correct form. All right, we're on that account main form, so I look for the right form, and great, there's that test field number 1, and I have my options, active or inactive, as a Boolean field. So again, what we've been looking at today is the Power Apps Customizations new experience. Appreciate you spending some time with me and looking at that, and hopefully this new experience you find to, again, a little bit of getting used to, but there's some features there that are really nice and helpful in terms of looking at a window with it into your actual end user environment, rather than through the old experience where you're looking at the old form editor and then having to go to the front end to see if it compares to what you've changed. Again, thanks for spending some time with me, and best of luck moving forward with configuring Dynamics 365.